Hey, welcome back to another just 15 minutes or something like that. It very rarely is. It's been a couple of weeks since I did a video. I'm sorry about that, if anybody cares. And if you don't, that's okay. Either way. Okay. So, what are we going to have a look? And in a couple of, there's so much changing, isn't there, with a lot of AI stuff. And interestingly, this is a really strange sort of idea. Let me just move. I had the draw mode on for some reason. Yeah, there's so many options to generate code. There really is. There's far too many. Just total overwhelm. But one that I've been playing with a fair bit of late, and I'm sure by the time I've even got this video done, there's lots of these things going out there, agentic sort of coding. VS Code has got agent mode, where it'll build and work through tasks and use your command line and all that sort of stuff. And there's a good friend of mine, Tim Abel, actually. I'll have to put his link in, actually, as well. He noted another one called Lovable, which I'll do certainly a podcast of just 5 minutes on that, if not maybe another video to compare it with this one. But this is Claude Code, okay? So it's from Anthropic, the people who make Claude, for the AI. So if you've ever gone to Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, all those things there, but Claude seems to be getting a lot of focus in the fact that about it dealing with code, even in VS Code and Visual Studio, and I'm sure other IDEs and editors out there as well, is that Claude Sonnet 3.7, I think, as of the time of this recording anyway, is one of the options that you can actually plug in to even things like GitHub Copilot. But anyway, there's lots of other stuff. Let's have a look at Claude Code. So it's a preview at the moment. It's a beta research preview. I work on a Windows machine. Don't shoot me. And even though you can run obviously WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux or Linux, you can go through this process to install, but it really works better when you're on a like a Linux platform. Okay, so have a look. I had a few problems, but in fairness, when I went onto their issues, there's a GitHub repository, and you can go and have a look at issues and log that and all the rest of it. And they did actually come back really quite quickly, the people who are maintaining this repository, and say that, yeah, they've fixed a lot of the issues that people were having installing this on Windows. But what I ended up doing, because I think I mention it every time, don't I? Good old Docker desktop. I've got just an Ubuntu latest version. I love the names that it gives. So I just got through Docker desktop. I won't go through this at the moment, but again, maybe there's lots of videos out there for getting Docker and Docker images and containers running. But I can go through one if that sounds like it's something that people need. But anyway, I've got an Ubuntu Linux container running, and all I've done is to do that is go, you can go and get a container and things like that. And then ultimately you just open it in VS Code. I mean, you can open it in other editors, but I'm just using VS Code. And once you've got that, essentially you can do this, this install. Now, they've got some options on here about what what's the best practice to go through and install this. But ultimately, if you go through this, it is like there's the troubleshooting on WSL. So there are a few notes here that you can actually go through, but ultimately you can install it in your VS Code. So let's just open VS Code quick. Okay, so all I did is when I opened VS Code from that Docker container, it's opened VS Code in remote mode. So I'm basically working inside of that container, which is nice. And if I go to the terminal in VS Code, you can do control single quote, or you can go to, up the terminal there, new terminal. You've got just an Ubuntu command line, basically, and you can just follow those instructions that we're just looking at there. Okay, you can literally go and npm install, and away you go. Now, when you go through this process, if we have a look, the GitHub repository has also got a few good things going on there as well. Okay, so that's worth having a bit of a read through as well. But let's flick lots of screens and go back into VS Code. And when you've done your npm install, you can literally just type Claude. Okay, and there we go. Now, I'm already logged in. So one thing to be aware of that's a little bit different to maybe some of these things, there's a lot of free options out there, and they do a really good job. Like a lot of these, like GitHub Copilot is now got a very generous free tier. There's lots of other ones. Claude Code, or Claude via the API in general, isn't free. Okay, so you will have to go, you can go through the help, but essentially if you do the / or /, is that a /? I think it's a /, isn't it? You can see there, you can go to login, and you can log into an Anthropic account. Okay, but first of all, you have to go into Anthropic via the website. Just search Anthropic. You need to have an account, and you do have to have some credits available. Now, I think you can put even like $5 on there or something like that, and you'll see in a minute we can actually track using if I can just do that, do cost. It will tell you what you're actually using. Okay, so there's a lot of things about the cost, but what I'm about to show you isn't going to cost too much at all. And the good thing is you can set up the Anthropic account, like I said, with probably, I think, something like $5 or something, and you can make it so it doesn't auto recharge. You can make it auto recharge, but you're not going to get caught out like using a lot of money. Okay, but it's a paid for, but then what you pay for is what you get, and as you'll see in a minute, it could be worth it. Certainly the fact that you think about outsourcing some coding to even Fiverr and things like that, and I'm sure that all those other platforms out there, you know, yes, you need to know what the code does, but even if you outsourced it, unless you're getting a full outsource experience where people will explain everything, if you're just going to Fiverr and say, hey, I want a web app to do this, you're just going to get the code. You've still got to deal with it. So this is what we're about to try. So essentially, I've got, this is all live, so if it all blows up, then it'll be a good laugh anyway, won't it? So I can see I've got a few commands here when I've got going. And if you've got a problem getting started, let me know. We'll maybe go through a more detailed video to get you running. Okay. But right now I've got a few commands there, and one of them is init, which is initialize a new Claude MD Okay, so I'm going to just do that because, by the way, let me just step back 1 second. Sorry, I know I'm jumping around a little bit. There's nothing in this Docker container apart from a .vs Code config that was picked up when I said open from the Docker container. So there's absolutely nothing in here. I just wanted to make that really clear, which is what I'm going to type there. So I'm going to type Claude again, and we're back in. Okay, so backslash or forward slash backslash. I've already logged in, like I've mentioned, but you will have to log in. But I'm going to go init. Okay. And it's pondering. Okay. Now, I think it's going to look at this directory, realize I haven't got anything there, but it's setting up. I can see there. It's got a file that it's creating, which is a Claude.md README markdown. So it's sort of giving itself some instructions about things. So you can see at the bottom, I've now got an option. Do you want to allow Claude to make this change? So I'm going to say yes. I could say yes and don't ask again, or no, tell me, what I want to do. I'm going to be really brave and say yes and don't ask for this in this session. Okay, smooshing, there you go. Okay, so it's created a Claude.md markdown. Okay, nothing overly complex in there. It's just giving it some context about the build commands that may need to be used. And bearing in mind, you can use Claude Code for pretty much anything, but I'm going to go through building a vanilla, no frameworks or anything, just HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Okay, and I should have explained what the goal is. I just want to build a vanilla HTML, JavaScript, CSS application and see how good it can do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is give a prompt here. Okay, I'm going to say in fact, if I click out of that and click in there, I want to build a pure HTML, JavaScript, CSS application that will allow a user to build a diagram. We're going to try building a drag and drop diagram because there's loads of examples out there that build just noddy to-do apps and basic things like that. This is a little bit more in detail, especially with just HTML, JavaScript and CSS. Build a diagram tool. The application should... Why am I just repeating this? You can see it on the screen. But anyway, the application should have a left sidebar to show a menu that can be collapsed or expanded. So, and I'm going to put the hamburger menu, something like that. One page will show the actual diagram canvas with a symbol, what are you going to call that one? A symbol section to the right, and this will allow the user to drag workflow diagram components onto the canvas. Second page on the menu will allow the user to see a list of diagrams created. Okay. Please make this look modern. I've got no idea. Now that's okay. There's a little bit of detail there, but it's just text. And I've sort of said I just want pure HTML, JavaScript, CSS, no frameworks, no Tailwind CSS, no anything at the moment. Okay, let's have a moseying. Now it's all live this, so I'm not going to edit it. I might, and you'll see there the amount of seconds that it's taking. If it looks like it's going to take too long, I will pause, but you will see then the elapsed time. Oh, yeah, it's going. Okay, it's creating an index HTML, I can see there. Okay, and it's doing a few other bits and pieces. But all of this is just from one prompt, remember. Okay, so I'm just going to pause and then I will restart the recording so you can see how long it actually took and also how much it cost. Okay, that took probably maybe round about 2 minutes, which sounds like a lot, but hang on a minute. This is saving you from outsourcing, to build an application here. So again, it's given me a list of things that it's going to do. Okay, so I'm going to say, do you want to proceed? Yeah, and I'm going to say yes, and don't ask again for this environment. Okay, yep, so off it goes. Now I can see it's already created like a CSS directory, a JavaScript directory, and all sorts of things are in there. So let me see what it's done. Right, I've created a modern diagram tool web application with the following features. Okay. Modern UI with a collapsible sidebar. Okay, diagram canvas, symbol panel, ability to save, load and manage diagrams. Crikey. Responsive design that works on various... What? To test the application, open the index.html in a web browser. Sure thing. And drag symbols from the right panel onto the canvas. Double click. My goodness, save your diagram in the... What? That is incredible. Well, the app stores your diagrams in the browser's local storage. It even worked that out. That's quite an interesting thing. So if you don't know, all modern browsers for a while now, luckily for a few years, have got like local storage. Okay. It's like a little mini database in the browser. In fact, it's been a while since I've looked at those. I don't know if they had SQLite in there at one point. Anyway, it's a mini little database that can store data. Actually, it's very clever, actually. That's a whole other thing. But either way, it's picked up the fact that it has to store these diagrams, and it's worked that out itself. Okay, sorry, I paused there for a second because I just wanted to check a couple of bits. But I've got a little in my VS Code, and there's lots of these. You can literally just open that index.html in a browser. Okay, so you can do like right mouse click, open with a browser. I do have a little extension built in here. Where is it called? Live Preview from Microsoft. Okay. So you could look for Live Preview and install that if you want. All it really is doing is when I right mouse click, it can do show preview. Okay. So it's quite a nice quick way of getting, to look at your application. So that's what we've created. Let's switch to that. And lo and behold, my goodness me, we've got a full application here. Yeah, it's got, okay. That didn't quite work. It's collapsed, but it hasn't let me... Well, never mind. I'll just refresh that. So obviously, this is the first thing with that one prompt. Okay. And it's got a diagram editor. I presume I can change that. I can look at my... No diagrams yet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've got diagram editor. New diagram. Does that take me straight to that page? Okay, yeah, untitled diagram. Yeah, and I don't know, it isn't showing the title, but I haven't asked that specifically. So can I do this? Let me just have a look. Oh, come on. There's a process. There's another process. Can I double click on it? Okay. Now it's it's prompting up in a, it's not a bad way, but it would be nice to have it in line, etc. But, the fact is it going to save that? Yeah, it is. Okay. Now, how do you make the lines connect? Sometimes you do right mouse click, but that isn't happening at the moment. So it has a connector, but I don't think it's allowing me to connect the steps up at the moment. But anyway, let's click save. Okay, diagram saved successfully. So if I go back to my diagrams, yeah. Look at this. It's created a nice little card for me. I can delete it. I can go back in and edit it, and sure enough, it's there as it saved it. So if I move something, add another thing there, go save. Yeah. Okay. Go back to my diagrams. Go back to edit there. Yeah, it's all there. Now, obviously, it hasn't got the connectors there. So maybe just one last thing. I've gone way over 15 minutes as usual. Let's go back and say that is great, but the diagram canvas needs to allow the user to add connectors for each of the workflow symbols on the canvas. I don't know if I'm even, explaining in English properly even here, but anyway, it's okay. Let's just do that, and we'll see if this is quick or if it isn't. Like I say, the original one took about 2 minutes or just under. This is obviously going through some edits, and it's explaining what it's doing. I can see it's creating an array for connectors, so it seems to be talking about the right things. Oh my goodness me. It's going through CSS and goodness knows what. I'll do a little pause quick to save you from being overly bored. Okay, so it took, again, just under 2 minutes to make those changes. And you can see here, look, it says, I've enhanced the diagram tool with connector functionality. Users can now connect, see visual feedback while creating the with a dashed line. Goodness me. Select the delete. Oh my goodness, Jiminy Cricket. Wow. Okay, now I haven't, I think it's saved. Has it saved everything? Let's go and try to refresh that on here. Okay, we'll give it a refresh. Oh my goodness. Look at that. It's got little, that didn't quite work. Yeah, okay. Did it do that? I mean, it looks like it's doing that, but I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it's actually, I mean, it's built the connectors there. What's that up in the top corner? Actually, I think it's got something weird there. It's all very live, this, isn't it? So let's go back. Did it load everything? It's definitely I mean, it's still allowing me to do this. It's got the connector, but the connector, what did it actually say? I should read what it actually did. To create a connection, click and drag from any connection point, small circles on the edge of the symbols, drag to a connection point on another symbol, release to create the connection with the arrow showing the direction. You can select connectors by selecting them to delete them. Yeah, so it should have done that. Has it not? I tell you what I'll do. I'll do a hard refresh. I'm just going to do Control-Shift-J. I do it this way so I can do debugging in the browser, but also you can do empty cache and do a hard refresh there. You don't have to do that. There's other ways to do that. But let's see. Did that? It's sort of doing it, but the connector doesn't seem to be there. But you can see where this is going. I mean, I'm going to stop here because it'll carry on, and I've gone way over the 15 minutes that I usually tried. But this is obviously, you could make these symbols SVGs. You could have your own. I'm sure this pretty clever stuff actually, considering it took a few minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, it took less than what this video is, that is for sure. And by the way, so just one last thing to finish with is, let's do backslash and cost. How much did this cost me? Okay, it cost me 72 cents. There you go. Total duration. I don't know what the wall is. I'll have to come back to that. But the actual application took 4 minutes and 21 seconds. It cost me 72 cents so far. I could now go through, and I will, maybe I'll do a follow-up on this, find out why it hasn't actually got those lines and stuff like that. You could persist these diagrams to a proper database or to a file on disk. The fact that it actually came up and said, I'm going to use local storage in the browser is clever. I didn't even ask for that. But just by the fact that I said I wanted a load and save code. So the diagram, sorry. Anyway, that is pretty incredible. If anybody, contractor or outsource company, can build a diagram tool for 72 cents, let me know, and I'll definitely take you up on the offer. But I honestly think, sure, you've now got to deal with the code. How do you even deploy this? Where do you deploy this? So there are questions. Obviously, there's things that you need to know. But just looking at this code, I can see it's very clean HTML that it's generated. It is using just CSS. It is just using JavaScript there. It's not necessarily split out the JavaScript into different module files or anything like that. But I didn't ask that. But I can see it's done a really interesting, and it's used all the latest sort of like JavaScript as of the time of this recording anyway. I can see how it's adding event listeners and all this type of stuff. So sure, if you are building this application and you want to know or need to know a little bit more about it, but it is just pure JavaScript. There's no framework. There's some CSS obviously, but it looks to me that is pretty straightforward to actually get your head into, to enhance it yourself if you need to, or just go back through and carry on. So anyway, amazing for 72 cents, and total elapsed time of 4 minutes 21 seconds, or 22 seconds maybe. And isn't that crazy? So that's where I'm going to leave it right now. If you want me to do a follow-up one, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you really have to, please. Anyway, you don't have to, but obviously it'll help. And we will catch you on the next one. So I hope this has been of interest, and take care. Have a good day, a good week, and we'll catch you next time.